Well, good afternoon and welcome to the December 14th, 2022 City of Mesa Planning and Zoning Board public hearing. We'll begin with a roll call. I am Board Member Crockett, present. Vice Chair Ayers.
Here.
Board Member Allen.
Here.
Board Member Sarkissian is absent. Board Member Peterson.
Here.
Board Member Pitcher.
Here.
And Board Member Montez is also absent today. But it looks like we have a quorum, so we will proceed ahead, and I will apologize to the public in advance for the sweaters that you see up here. This is an annual tradition that somehow, unfortunately, was started years ago, that continues on. But anyway, welcome. So as part of today's agenda, we have a consent agenda. Those items will be voted on in a group, and there won't be discussion on any individual item or public comment. If you are here to speak on a specific item, then we'll need you to fill out a blue speaker slip and get it to us as quickly as possible. We already have a couple of requests to speak on item 5A, which is the Estates at Encanto preliminary plat, so that will be off of consent so we can hear public comment and have discussion on that item. But is there any other item that someone would like to have removed from the consent agenda? I am not seeing anything, so Board Member Allen has volunteered to read our consent agenda today, so Board Member Allen, take it away.
Thank you. The following items are on the consent agenda for the Wednesday, December 14th, 2022 Planning and Zoning Public Hearing. Item 2A, minutes from the November 16th, 2022 study session and regular meeting. Item 2B, minutes from the November 22nd, 2022 special meeting, study session and regular meeting. Item 3A, ZON 21-01305, The Wall Company, District 6, within the 6400 block of South Mountain Road, located south of the Gateway 24 freeway on the east side of Mountain Road, site plan review. This request will allow for an industrial development with staff recommendation of approval with conditions. Item 3B, ZON 22-00680, Denny's Restaurant, within the 4200 block of South Signal Butte Road, located north of East Point 22 Boulevard on the west side of South Signal Butte Road. Site plan modification. This request will allow for the development of a restaurant, and staff recommendation is approval with conditions. Item 4A is ZON 22-00429, Merwin rezoning, within the 1400 block of North Val Vista Road and within the 3600 block of East Huber Street, located east of Val Vista Drive and north of Huber Street, rezoned from agricultural to single residence 35. This request will allow for a single residence development, and staff recommendations is approval with conditions. Item 4B, ZON 22-00546, Wrecker and 202 Retail, within the 3300 block of North Wrecker Road and the 5900 block of East Virginia Road, 5900 block of East Virginia Street, located south of Virginia Street on the west side of Wrecker Road. Site plan modification and amending the conditions of approval with zoning case Z07-118. This request will allow for a commercial development. Staff recommendation is approval with conditions. Item 4C, ZON 22-00779, Gallery Park Freeway Landmark Monument, District 6, within the 4900 to 5000 blocks of South Power Road, located north of Ray Road and on the east side of Power Road, council use permit. This request will allow for a freeway landmark signage. Staff recommendation is continue to a future planning and zoning board meeting. Those are the items on the consent agenda for the December 14th, 2022 meeting.
Thank you, Board Member Allen. Do I have a motion to approve our consent agenda?
I move to approve the consent agenda as read.
Thank you, Board Member Ayers. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Board Member Pitcher. Let's go ahead and vote. All right, I don't see a vote up on my screen.
Would you mind doing a roll call vote, Mr. Chairman?
Let's go ahead and do that. Board Member Crockett votes yes. Vice Chair Ayers?
Yes.
Board Member Allen?
Yes.
Board Member Peterson?
Yes.
Board Member Pitcher?
Yes.
Okay, so by your vote of 5 ayes with 2 absent, you have passed the consent agenda. I'll now turn it over to our Assistant Planning Director, Rachel, for staff presentation on item 5A.
Chair, board members, we have Evan that is ready to make a presentation on 5A, which is, let me get to that page, gosh. Thank you. ZON 22-00495, Estates in Encanto.
Thank you, Chair, board members. This is case ZON 22-00495. There we go. This is a request for a preliminary plat for a 28-lot single residence subdivision. The subject property is crosshatched on the map here. It's located east of Lindsay Road on the south side of Brown Road. If you're familiar with the Central Christian Church, this would be the approximately 11 acres on the east side of the church, between the church and the canal. The general plan designation for this property is specialty. This area is generally large, over 20 acres, and for a specific single use, such as an educational facility. To give you a little additional context, I mentioned that the church right in front of the subject site. Highland Elementary School is also adjacent to the subject site to the south. The city has a park and a fire station also to the south of the property on the corner of Adobe Street and Lindsay. The zoning on the property is RS9, so single residence 9, which is a single residence is a use that's permitted by right in the RS9 zoning district. Here you can see a site photo. This is from Encanto Street looking into the site. Currently, this is an access to the rear portion of the church, which would become the access point to the Estates at Encanto subdivision. As I mentioned, this request is for a site plan for 28 lots. It's important to note that it's not a rezoning request. The applicant's not asking for any deviations. This is just a preliminary plat for the 28 lots, which conforms to all standards of the zoning ordinance for the RS9 zoning district. With that, staff does find that this complies with the Mesa 2040 general plan, as well as all of the requirements of the subdivision regulations from section 962 of the zoning ordinance. We are recommending approval with conditions, and I'm happy to answer any questions the board might have.
Great, thank you for that. Are there any questions for Mr. Ballmer before we hear from the applicant? I'm not seeing any, thank you.
Thank you.
I'll invite the applicant up at this point to make a presentation. If you have a presentation to make.
I do not. My name is Reed Porter. I just wanted to state that we have planned this subdivision to meet all the city standards, and we are not asking for any deviations. We've been working carefully with the church for about the last year to come up with this 28-lot plan that works for them and meets all the conditions. So I don't really have anything else to add.
Okay, would you state your name and business address for the record?
Reed Porter, 890 West Elliott Road, Gilbert, Arizona.
Okay, before you get away, are there any questions for Mr. Porter on this? We are going to have a little public comment, so there may be an opportunity for you to come back up and address something that you hear in public comment.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I do have a couple of speakers cards. We'll open the public comment portion of the hearing this afternoon. And first, we've got a card from Reese Anderson. Mr. Anderson, I think you know the drill, but I'll have you state your name and address for the record, and then you'll have 3 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, for your record, my name is Reese Anderson, and my personal home address is 1005 North Alba in Mesa. And I'd invite the staff to bring up the site plan, and maybe if they can just point to my exact home. I am the single home that touches this site. And so some might say, this is quite fun to see Reese here as a neighbor. And I'm sorry I didn't get the memo on the ugly sweater. Day, you all look wonderful. I do admit, though, that I carry my ugliness with me 24/7, 365, and hope that qualifies me to participate. But board members, I thought it would be fair, and I thought about this for a long time because I've been working with Reed Porter, who I've known for a long time, just to stand as a neighbor and citizen of Mesa and voice my support for this project. And that's why earlier I said I don't want to take it off consent, but since it is, I'm happy to share a thought and support. Good projects deserve support. And I thought for someone in my position, who usually is standing here advocating for projects with neighbors opposing, that it would be right for me to turn around and say, where I see good projects, I should support those. And that's why I'm here today. I don't have anything more to add other than just my support. I also want to just note that my friend and neighbor, Butch Bodine, is here. I love him as a dear friend, and I respect all of his thoughts and opinions, so I look forward to hearing his thoughts on this case too. But that's why I'm here. I'd be happy to answer any questions. I'm sure you may not have any, but that's why I'm here today. Sorry to take some of your time.
Thank you, Mr. Anderson. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Yeah, Merry Christmas to each of you.
Likewise. Next, we have William Bodine. If you would step to the podium, state your name and address for the record, and then you'll have 3 minutes.
Thank you. My name is William Bodine. I live at 2847 East Fountain Street, which is just north of the area that we're talking about. Bought the home as a retirement home. I'm not moving from there. First of all, I want to say I do support the project. I think it's going to add value to our neighborhood. But I think there's concerns that not only myself but other neighbors have, particularly concerning the term of construction, where heavy vehicles are going to be coming in and out of a canto for potentially 3 years, is what the developer has told us. We only received notice one time from our developer, Reed Porter, and for one meeting, which several of the residents attended. One time. No additional communication has been received by the other people within our community. So 2 concerns. Immediate concerns are the construction going up and down in Canto for 3 years. That has concerns relative to increased theft, potentially, from strangers walking along that area, driving through that area, going in and out of that area continuously. Speed issues, dirt, additional congestion of large vehicles, construction vehicles. Number 2, the concern I have is increased congestion in traffic. There's only one way in and one way out of that development. One way. 28 homes, you could potentially, with 4 cars per home, you could have potentially an additional 112 cars coming in and out of that area, particularly impacting Encanto. But because they have speed bumps on Encanto, they're going to be going north a little bit. They're going to turn north. They're going to come up down my street in Fountain. We already have issues with speeding. We already have issues with traffic at Mountain View. Have you ever tried to get out onto the street when Mountain View's starting or ending the high school? It can be a challenge. Additionally, on Sundays, it can be a challenge when Central Christian is meeting or adjourning their meetings. So there's already congestion there. I know I'm not asking for rezoning, but I'd ask for you to reconsider possibly have an additional route exiting this development. There is a water retention right there east of the park. It's empty ground. It's nothing there. It's grass that the city has to maintain. There could easily be an adjustment with the permission of Central Christian to turn some type of access, south access, coming through that park along the east side of the park to Adobe, where there is a light on Adobe. And there's no reason why not already utilize that space, which is really empty space. So I support the project. I want to be a good neighbor to Central Christian. I think they do great work. I personally have donated my time there and efforts to Central Christian. But I think if Central Christian will address these 2 issues with the developer, first is the construction, long-term construction issues, the safety issues, the speeding issues that's going to occur within my neighborhood. And second, if they're open to having consideration made for a second exit or entrance into that subdivision, that would be wonderful. I think that would ease all of our neighbors' concerns. Thank you.
Well, thank you for your comments. Now, those are the only 2 speaker cards I have. Do we have anything else that's come in? Okay, no one else here to to make any comment on this? Okay, then I'll close the public comment portion of the hearing and invite the applicant to come back up and address anything you'd like to from what you heard in public comment.
I do want to say that regarding construction traffic, the church has agreed to allow construction traffic to access the site along the south side of the church. I didn't make that as part of my presentation because Encanto is a City of Mesa public street, and we can't guarantee that no trade would ever drive down there to access the site, but the church has authorized us to have construction signage and to try to route as much as the construction traffic along their southern boundary.
Okay.
Apart from that, there is only one public street that touches this site. It's Encanto. We did make that very clear during the neighborhood meeting that there weren't really other routes to access the site.
Okay, are there any questions for Mr. Porter before he gets away from the podium? It doesn't look, thank you. Okay, is there any discussion on this item? Board Member Board Member Peterson.
I'll make a motion, move to approve ZON 22-00495, Estates at Encanto, District 1, within the 3,000 block of East Encanto Street, located east of Lindsay Road and south of Brown Road, preliminary plat. This request will create a 28-lot plat for a single residence development. Recommendation is approval with conditions.
All right, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, is there any discussion before we have the vote? I'm not seeing any, so let me go ahead and call the roll on this because I don't know that our electronics are working. Board Member Crockett votes aye. Vice Chair Ayers?
Aye.
Board Member Allen?
Aye.
Board Member Peterson?
Yes.
Board Member Pitcher?
Aye.
All right, and so with your vote of 5 ayes and Board Members Sarkisian and Montez absent, you have passed this item on the agenda. And I will turn it back to Rachel to see if there's anything more that we need to cover in our meeting.
All right, Chair, board members, no, nothing else.
All right, well, thank you. Then I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, let me just call for a voice vote on this one. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. We stand adjourned.